And this is Andrew Potter. Welcome to Street I Am. This is our very first video interview.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, congratulations to you too. What would be the most you made in any one day from busking?
You know, we were in San Francisco. We were scheduled on stages, so we couldn't work as many shows as we wanted. And that's an important thing to consider, because a lot of buskers, they stake out a territory and they just work as often as they want. That was not the case where we were. So we were scheduled for 30-minute shows, and between the various stages we could do 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 shows a day, right? So back in those days, you know, a good hat, you know, $100, like you're, you know, getting into 3 figures, that's a decent hat, $100 hat. Do a 30-minute show, $100 hat.
It's good today.
Yeah. And certainly, you know, if you're good and you know how to do a good show and you know how to pitch the hat, which is very important, you know, you can easily make several $100s in a hat. And, you know, I'm sure there are hats that are $400, $500, $600. A technique and a psychology to a good hat pitch. And our hat pitch, frankly, was not all that great. I mean, our show was good, so that's where payday came from. But I've seen people do hat pitches that, you know, the more you have them laughing about them spending money, you know, if you could do that for 10 minutes, you know, they'll be laughing all the way up to filling your hat up with money.
So when did you decide to create your show?
I decided to do it when I got out of juggling. It took me a long time to get redirected, because after I quit performing, I got a job as an entertainment coordinator at Theater Square in San Francisco, which is a big busking spot. So I was in charge of operating and managing the system. And I did very well at it, and I'll tell you a very simple reason why. It's because I'm a busker, I know how it works. Whereas there are a lot of places where they hire someone who doesn't know anything about performing, doesn't know anything about entertainment, doesn't necessarily care, and then they're in charge of arranging a system. And finally, I got into video production, and I really liked that. And so I was able to go back to graduate school and get a degree in video. And when I entered graduate school is when I started working on the show. And that was in 1997.
And where did you go?
Emerson College in Boston.
Ah, so even though you're in San Francisco, you're still kind of headquartered out back east as well.
Well, at that point, we had moved back east. My wife and I had moved back to Boston.
And you're married, and and your daughter's just now, is she in school now, or is she
My daughter just graduated from college, so she's kind of where I was when I started my juggling career.
So there you go. You can put your daughter through college and school by busking. How long did it take to put the elements together? About 2 years, you say?
Oh no! I've been putting the elements. I'm still putting the elements together, because I learned so much about. I mean, it's tricky. I mean, try and mix something that's happening on a screen with something that's happening live. It's tricky. I mean, it's by definition, it's going to be a split focus. So you have to learn how to kind of manipulate where the audience is looking and when they're looking, and that takes time. And you know, you also have to kind of learn, you know, how much of it that they're getting, because you know, it's a different video is a different element of live performance. But you know, I get to play filmmaker, I get to play photographer, and I still get to play live performer, because that, you know, is what I love the most. So yeah, I'm still manipulating the elements.
So where do you see the show going? Do you see it going to Broadway, or are you kind of hoping you'll...
Sure, yes, sure, I see it going to Broadway, absolutely, why not? I think it's a good story, and I think it's done in an innovative way. You know, I've only been pitching it as a work for about 2 years. You know, I will say that I've had success inviting reviewers to the show, and they have given me very favorable reviews, so that's a fine place to start.
That's because they have eyes and a brain. What's the difference, do you think, in your performing style that you've had to adapt to from busking out in the public to doing a stage
So,
show?
you know, the whole thing about starting a show is you got to gather a crowd. In order to gather a crowd, you got to make friends. So you chat with people, how are you doing, where are you from, what do you do, have a seat, want to watch a show, and you kind of work on that so that that's a whole very informal and intimate thing, right? When you go indoors and when you do theater festivals, for mostly people are expecting a play. So they're not expecting the performer to talk to them directly. And they don't expect to say anything back. So my audience is there, hey, how you doing? Banter, and hey, check this out. No, how do we think about this? And I've had a little bit of trouble getting much of a response because they're not used to that. And
do you think there's a better way to get talent from the street, or do you think that is?
Well, I think what works is when producers go around and look for talent on the street. I mean, that's how we got hired all the time. Producers come out, and that's why another reason why street performing is great, because you have such big exposure that now for anybody to see me, they've got to hear about my show months in advance. They have to know who I am months in advance. They have to buy a ticket, and they got to make their way to a specific time and a specific space to see me. And
thank you very much.
My pleasure.